just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. Well, our eyewitness reporters from all across the country have been very busy sending us those pictures that we were talking about. Let's begin with this one coming in from Magboro in Ogun State, showing a vehicle which our eyewitness reporter says rammed into a crowded roadside market after losing control, killing some people and injuring others. And from Idiaraba in Lagos comes our next report of a canal filled with debris and overgrown weeds. He wants the relevant government agencies to clear the water channel. Still on refuse is this report sent in from Surulere, that's the part of Lagos. Our eyewitness reporter says the pile of refuse is as a result of neglect of the area by the waste management agents. He's calling on the relevant agencies to clear the refuse before it causes air pollution. The next report is from Ego area of Edo State, showing an illegal refuse dump site. Our reporter is appealing to the government to clear the rubbish. And residents of Lokogoma in Lokoja, the Kogi state capital, are not waiting for assistance as they're doing the cleanup of the environment themselves. Well, thanks a lot for sending in all your pictures. Do keep them coming, and you too can be part of the news around you. More suggestions are emerging as to how the present security challenges in the country can be tackled. Experts in security forces who converged on Lagos for a regional conference have linked the crisis in other socio-economic aspects of life as the birthplace for insecurity. As solutions, intelligence gathering, technology, funding and regional cooperation devoid of protocol have been suggested. Our correspondent Olu Phillips was at the meeting and now reports.
Nigeria can safely say it is having a share of security challenge going by records of various vices from kidnapping to insurgency. At solution-finding fora like this, comparing notes have become serious talking heads. Just in line, this meeting on emerging trends, a regional roundtable on security, is another shot at tackling the monster.
Now we have environmental challenges, we have health challenges, we have even crisis in the banking sector, we have economic problems. With the myriad of problems confronting us, can we be secure? If you don't have food in your stomach, can you be secure?
It takes about 600,000 liters of diesel to deploy a vessel for deep sea patrol daily, the equivalent of 87 million naira at 130 naira per liter. The Navy say there's more to deal with than sea pirates.
When we make our budget for the year, the recorded expenditure on purchasing of fuel alone consumes almost 3/4 of our budget. And so we have to leverage on technology to compensate for the use of the fuel. So if you have a vessel that can stay out at sea, either moored or tied to a platform at a choke point, then there are smaller vessels she can feed that can quickly intervene where there's a distress call. I think that problem is going to be minimized drastically.
We need intelligence gathering, true, but there seems to be a problem.
We still have some challenges in the area of information gathering in terms of cooperation from the armed forces and the police and other services. You have to make us your friend to be able to give you information. Because at the level they are very fantastic officers at the higher level. But when you go down a bit, we still have challenges with the rank and file. And that is where you have to do some more work.
Socioeconomic neglects and consequences breed fear. And here is the reason.
We haven't tended to look at security threats in a very serious manner. And we've not really done very well as a society. And that's a problem from the political leadership. Political leadership has kind of been insular. Because I and my family, we are safe, well, God help the rest of Nigerians. But it's not so.
Over and beyond the opinions expressed is the urgent need to roll up our sleeves and enroll in a citizens' army led by a responsive political class in solving our security challenges. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
To the oil industry, where President Muhammadu Buhari has described as wicked those he calls manipulators who, according to him, are responsible for the hike in the subsidy of petroleum products. At a meeting at the presidential villa, the president told the chairman and members of the Revenue, Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission that the hike in the subsidy payment over the years follows a deliberate neglect of the nation's refineries, oil pipelines and other related infrastructure that will promote fuel importation. The president says he's convinced that the absence of the refineries has created huge revenue for importers. He then asks the chairman of the commission to avail himself of all necessary information on the petroleum subsidy payments. According to the president, quote, "You have to go back to the drawing board and come out with more humane proposals to rescue ordinary Nigerians from the wicked manipulations of the country's oil industry by corrupt operators," end of quote. Meanwhile, the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Dr. Ibe Kachukwu, has explained that the petroleum industry bill, which has been pending before the National Assembly in the last 7 years, requires extensive engagement with all industry operators. Dr. Kachukwu, who chaired a special session of the proposed law at the ongoing 55th Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association in Abuja, described the bill as essential legislation which must be approached with all the seriousness it deserves. Our President Muhammadu Buhari has registered for his national identity card through the National Identity Management Commission inside the presidential villa in Abuja after the registration. Now, the president told State House correspondents that the exercise is very important to confirm the nation's population figures. President Buhari called on Nigerians who want their votes to count from whichever party or constituency to ensure that they are properly captured.
It's very, very important because it will confirm our population and those who are entitled to vote that reach the age of 18 and above. It will complement the exercise of permanent voters card. So for those who want their votes to count in whichever party, in whichever constituency, must be sure that they and their families have been properly captured as they have been captured.
The new chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, has resumed office with a promise to stop tax evasion and improve revenue generation. Mr. Fowler, whose appointment is subject to confirmation by the Senate, said no country can succeed without taxation. Mr. Fowler promised to meet with chairmen of the state revenue services across the country to chart a new course for revenue collections. Mr. Fowler is a former chairman of the Lagos State Revenue Collection Agency. He was appointed by President Muhammadu Buhari last week as acting chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
We will make sure that we cover all grounds, especially on the corporate level. All taxpayers within each state will be covered. So those who have found Nigeria fertile ground, those who have made a living and made profits from the businesses within Nigeria, we ask them to do the right thing. We all know the right thing to do, but most of these companies have the big names as the auditors, but yet they still keep different records. One set of records for the banks, one set of records for shareholders, and one set of records for the tax administrators. I think it's time that that be stopped. I'm going to also request that the multinational organizations should follow our laws. Abroad, they do not do things that will contravene their tax laws. I'll ask them that they please partner with us and follow the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, especially when it comes to tax payments. The era of waiting on oil revenue is over. The federal government is deciding of making this change believes that we can find our rightful place by making sure that we fund government. In funding government, we're serving the people. In serving the people, we're serving Nigeria. In serving Nigeria, I believe we're serving God. I'm aware of the cases that are currently being investigated in England because the Lagos State Board of Internal Revenue was called to give an act as witness because some foreign companies avoided or evaded taxes within Nigeria.
President Muhammadu Buhari's administration is revisiting the collapse of Nigeria Airways as it establishes a committee on the national carrier. Well, the committee has been mandated to carry out the assessment with vigor, and it has begun sitting in Abuja. According to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Aviation, Hajja Binta Bello, the establishment of the national carrier has become inevitable and justified by economic consideration, strategic national interest, and job creation. The Ministerial Committee has a former Managing Director of Discovery Airline, Captain Muhammad Abdul Salam, as the chairman. Joining me now on the news at 10 to look at this development is the founding chairman of ADC Airlines and an aviation consultant, Captain Augustine Okun. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the news at 10.
Thank you, John.
All right, well, some say it's refreshing to hear that this committee has been established to look into the national carrier. There's no shortage of suggestions for them and for what we should do. But what do you think they should start off with?
Yeah, I think it has been made clear by the Permanent Secretary what they should do. They should study previous recommendations that have been made, listen to the people in the industry, and then map out their way forward, and then report in 4 weeks back to the government on how they should do it.
But what went wrong with all the recommendations before? Because like I said, there's no shortage of suggestions of what should be done.
Yeah.
How come we're where we are right now?
I think, well, of course, you know, Nigeria Airways collapsed, so of course nothing has happened. Then private airlines have just come in to support and get things going. Right now, what should be done is for us, since the chief executive of the country has given the mandate that we should go ahead and create a national airline. It's not time for us to debate whether we should or we should not. It means government has decided a national airline should be created. So all we have to do is find the best way forward, look at what went wrong with Nigeria Airways, where did we have the banana peel.
That's exactly what I'm saying. In your opinion, as as a consultant, what do you think went wrong?
That's what I get paid for. Well, Nigeria Airways didn't follow most of the rules. They were too complacent. When the airline was booming, we had a lot of passengers. They were begging to get on board the flights. We had airplanes. But it wasn't managed in a business fashion. So the airline collapsed. And the managers at that time did not see the big picture. They didn't see that Nigeria needed a big, powerful airline that was going into all parts of the world and saving Nigerians. They looked at the very little picture of carrying having free tickets to London and staying in nice hotels and eating caviar and all that. But those who were serious, other countries that were serious about their airline, looked at the bigger picture. They bought bigger planes and went into different destinations when it mattered. But you see, the advantage Nigeria has is that all the passengers are Nigerian, or most of them. About 80% of the passengers that are traveling in the market are Nigerians. So how come we couldn't harness these Nigerians into Nigerian aircraft and take them where they want to go? That is a big question that we have to answer. That's what went wrong with Nigeria Airways, that they didn't see that they had such a large pool of willing passengers and they couldn't take them where they wanted to go and do that in a way that would make them happy.
Do we see that now with the area of privatization, private airlines, etc.? Some still argue, even though, yes, the president has said this should be done. Some still say, do we need this national carrier? And will the government succeed being in the business of aviation?
Well, government is not supposed to run the airline. And if government is running the airline, I can assure you that it will fail. Government should only help it to start. And we create a big airline that can carry the whole of be able to support the need for the aviation industry for Nigeria. The private airlines are too small and too fragmented. What we need is an airline that has the capacity, the financial muscle, and can see the big picture, that wants to go to all the places that Nigerians need to go to and offer a good service and have the other infrastructure in place that will support the growth of aviation. I mean, training for the crew, I mean, maintenance bays and supply of fuel at the right time, air traffic control that will make, if we want to have like 100 flights a day or to different destinations, at least you have the air traffic control that can move those traffic in a very expeditious manner.
All right, finally now, one of the problems with recommendations that there are always so many. If you were a member of that committee, what is the #1 thing right now?
Well, it's to use the business model that drives private business to run the airline, not run it as a government parastatal. That would not work. Go to the capital market, raise all the funds that you need, and involve Nigerians so that Nigerians have an ownership buy-in into the project. It shouldn't be a one-man airline. It shouldn't be one man controlling 60% and the rest of Nigerians sharing 40% or an awkward figure. But we should be something that a lot of Nigerians can key into and own it and support it and make sure that it works. All
right, founding chairman, ADC Airlines and aviation consultant, Captain Augustine Okon, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the News at 10 tonight.
Thank you very much.
Now, when the News at 10 returns, Gulda enters the Guinness Book of Records with the launch of the biggest poster in Enugu. That's in a moment. Enjoy the spin.